we're mostly talking about phones right now and technology, but there is computers and gamers and there's TV and there's Netflix and binge watching. We're talking about one piece right now, and that's just a phone. But there are people that, spend hours on games and things like that really can take away from their relationships, but also their personal growth. You know, I think there's a time and a place to utilize technology. And I know I really try to think about this with our children because I'm like, hey, let's limit it. Like, I want you guys to go outside. I want you to be a kid, focus on those kind of things. We need the exact same things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Instead of going outside and being a kid, let's go experience life. And when we're on our technology, we're not always doing that, unless you own a documentary and you learning something and reading the news or what have you, something that's productive. But as you were speaking, it made me think about something that I heard not too long ago about, the question of, are you spending your time or are you investing your time?
Hello, everybody. This is Brittney and Byron, and you're listening to Dirty Laundry with B&B, a podcast about real, relatable relationships.
Transparency at its finest. We air it out and clear it up, offering couples and those seeking healthy relationships a safe, inclusive space to open the vents and find resolve.
Hello, Dirty Laundry listeners.
What's up, people?
Hope that your week is going fabulous.
Yeah.
I know we have been busy. Just came off a tournament for our youngest in Orlando, and we brought our nephews, so we had our hands full this weekend. How you feeling coming off that?
I had fun in the moment. I think I did a fantastic job of being present and just being where my feet are, So it was really nice. But then when I came back home and then went to work, so we did drive to Orlando, which is 2 hours away from us, and getting back really late on Sunday, then having to get back up early on Monday for work. I'm not a spring chicken anymore.
Yeah, the bounce back.
The bounce back. The elastic is a little wide these days.
I know.
But it's not. The bounce back takes a little bit more effort anymore. But I'm good though. I'm good. I'm pleased that we were able to do that and do that with our family and our nephews. It was a great time.
Yeah, me too. You had me thinking I'd have to have a full night's rest now to come back. So I had to crash out the night before. So I'm good though now. I'm good, and it's been a little bit crazy. I'm sure a lot of you follow us on socials, with my job and stuff and the current climate. Yeah. And that has really been heavy on my heart and in my mind. But I'm in a better mindset this week. You guys are catching me at a good time where I'm actually able to talk without being super negative about it and super angry.
Yeah, there was a moment there where almost every opportunity we had to speak, you were saying something about that situation. And the nice thing about our relationship is that I feel like we can communicate just about anything with each other. So I think the couple of conversations that we had to kind of introduce peace into the situation, sometimes we can't control what we can't control. So let's focus on what's going on right here in the home and allowing some of those things to just happen. Yeah. Kind of helped us through that situation, although we're still going through it.
Yeah. And one thing that really obviously even heightens any situation, especially when things are happening in the country you live in the world, is all of the access, right? Yeah. All of the news is on the TV, the news is on my phone, the news is on social media, all of this technology that is giving you instantaneous information. So it's an article drops and I've got 15 people that I work with sending me the article. And then I have text messages from friends that are like, did you see this, girl? Are you good, girl? That technology piece just creeps in and sometimes almost is overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, technology. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today. Yes.
That's right. I did that.
I see how you did
that.
Like
that? Okay.
So technology and love, or tech versus love. I mean, technology obviously connects us to the world, but is it starting to disconnect us from our partner? And so we're going to kind of explore that a little bit today. There have been several studies that have been conducted within the last few decades. And there was one done in 2019 where it said most Americans are on their phones for 4.5 or 4.5 hours a day. And so I started doing the math. That's about a little over 2 months out of the year. If you're on your phone for 4.5 hours a day, if you add all of those hours up, that equates to over 2 months out of the year. So if you're looking at 365 days out of the year, you looking at almost 75 days of you just staring at your phone,
Wow.
removing yourself from your relationships, people that are around you, your colleagues, your family, your spouse, your friends, and you're putting this piece of digital information or technology in front of you and in front of your family and those that you want to connect with in real life. And when I laugh with real life because every time our son is on, electronics, it takes him at least 10 to 15 minutes to recalculate or recalibrate in real life. And so it's funny, as soon as he gets off, I'm like, hey, son, this is your father. To kind of help him with that transition. But the same happens to us too.
It does. It's not like as extreme. Like usually when our children get off the phones or whatever, like they do this like weird, like obnoxiously loud noises for some reason.
Yeah.
But then y'all, like I noticed Byron does the same thing. He'd be like, hey, like he's all like going hard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you just came back to reality too.
Yeah,
So, it happens. It happens to the best of us. But I will say, while yes, there are a lot of negative pieces to technology in your relationship, there are some benefits. I was thinking about, like, before we had this discussion about tech, I was like, what are some good things about technology in a relationship? And one thing for me is being able to send a text message. And you and me kind of grew up. I mean, text messages just started to exist when we were dating, and like you had to pay 10 cents for them. So it was a big deal to send a text message. So normally you didn't talk to your person until like after 9 o'clock when it was free. Some of y'all young people don't know what I'm talking about, but for those of us that do, you're rocking with me, right? Like it cost money to send those 10-cent text messages. So the beauty of technology, where I'm going with this, is that I'm able to text you throughout the day, say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hey, I love you. What you want for dinner? Like just those little moments that you couldn't do in a certain era. You had to wait till someone was on lunch and they had a phone to use, or, they got home to talk about your day or whatever.
Yeah, and even if you're feeling like, you're down in a moment, you just need a word of encouragement, or you just want to connect with your other. Yeah, it gives you that free access that now it's free, that free access and an opportunity to kind of get what you need from them. But I will even look at the other side of that coin too. That access could be a little bit too much access. Like say, for example, I'm at the job and I'm just jobbing it. Like have to be focused, and this piece of information or this task requires a lot of work and energy and focus. Then it can cause a little bit of a distraction. Not that to say you're a distraction. I love to hear.
What are you trying to say?
I love to hear from you. But there are times where I got to be focused, but I feel like I need to tend to you also. Like that is a responsibility of mine. So I do find myself having to balance. It is a responsibility of mine. Yeah, it's a nice responsibility, but it is a responsibility, right? But I do have to
put on the to-do list. I feel like.
I do have to balance.
No,
I do have to balance those things, from home and work during the day, as opposed to back in the day when you had to really necessarily do that. You go to work, then you come home to be at home, which I think it makes it a little bit easier for you to kind of like separate work from home back then because you had less access.
That's true. Because like now you could be like, can you believe what just happened to me?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it causes more of a bit of an intertwining that happens between work and home. And you know me, like I don't like to bring work home. I don't. And then I also don't like when people at my job know my personal business. I just don't like that either. So, but because of technology, it makes it really difficult for that not to happen.
Definitely. Yeah. But it's also good. There are also some perks too, is if you're in a long distance relationship, you have an opportunity to be able to, FaceTime now and, Facebook Messenger. There's a lot of ways for people to stay in touch and see your loved ones and your significant others. Like when you've been deployed or things like that, it's been like a saving grace for us. Yeah,
when I've deployed and like even exercises or just been away from y'all for an extended amount of time, like technology has been our saving grace. Like it's nice to be able to like wake up and tell you and the boys good morning. And then, before I go to sleep, I can read them a bedtime story or just we could talk about how our days were. It just gives us that peace of solace and peace of mind, before our day ends and before our day gets started too. So absolutely use it for those good situations also. So I feel what you're saying there.
Yeah. Do you think that, in your opinion, that technology is more negative on a relationship or more positive on a relationship?
You know me. So like, I'm not a big fan of technology. I think that I like to use it as a tool. Like I'm always the old school cat. Like when a new social media something comes out, I'm like, I ain't doing that. Like they just trying to get all my business and blah blah blah. Like I'm really a late bloomer when it came to YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, all of that stuff. Like I was just way behind the curve because I just didn't feel like it was important enough for me to use at the time. So it's hard to say. I don't want to overgeneralize it. I would just say for our relationship. For our relationship, I think that technology can be used as a tool to enhance what we have going on.
Yeah.
But I think it can also be a hindrance to what we got going on. I think that just like you were saying, having friends text you about all this madness that's happening in the world right now, that causes a little bit of friction for you mentally, I think. Like, it causes you a little frustration and can bring you down a little bit. And so that does require a little bit of energy and attention when we could be focusing on other things. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do think that technology can disrupt people's interpersonal relationships, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think a little, first I have to tell you I was laughing because like you wouldn't even like allow Alexas in the house for a long time. And like even still now, you like swear they're listening. He's like, I'm not going to tell you this in the house because
I do.
they're
I'm like, hey, we
listening.
need to go on a walk or something. Leave your Apple Watch in the house. Like we're going to go talk.
So paranoid. This is my military man over here. Shoot, maybe they are listening, but I'm like, what we got to,
That's true. They would be bored as hell if they was listening to our conversations. That's a fact.
But no, I wanted to say as far as like technology in a relationship, I think for me and you, it's doesn't really an issue.
Yeah.
I think there are times where you're like, hey, Brittney, you've been on your phone a long time. I still don't know that it negatively affects our relationship. It's just like a reminder to say, I have been on my phone or whatever, But I don't think for us personally, it's a negative thing. I think we use it as a tool, just like everybody. We have our moments where we just want to like scroll and look and not have any, it's just thoughtless, but it doesn't affect our relationship. I think it can become negative if people, stop, recognizing and being present for their significant other. And they stop paying attention to their significant other because they're living in this fantasy world of, oh my God, their life is so perfect and they're doing these things. And it's like, you're starting to be go down that rabbit hole of like comparison.
I'm laughing because like you made me think about how there's this new phenomenon out called fubbing. It's like phone plus snubbing equals fubbing, which is when a partner utilizes their phone or uses their phone so much to where they're ignoring their significant other.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, me neither. Until I started reading about it, and I thought it was really interesting. And I do feel like that can and does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
But I feel like when that does happen, you hit a good point where I do at least communicate like, hey, babe, you on that phone a little bit too much. You feel me? And it's not like, I don't even want to use the phrase too much. It's usually like if I feel like we're in the middle of a conversation and we're about to go do something, I'm like, it would be nice if we could just have a conversation as opposed to you being on the phone right now. You feel what I'm saying? So I think, and usually you take that pretty well. But for those who don't communicate, like that it's a hindrance or that it's bothering them, I could totally see how that could become an issue, down the line.
And we're mostly talking about phones right now and technology, but there is computers and gamers and there's TV and there's Netflix and binge watching. We're talking about one piece right now, and that's just a phone. But there are people that, spend hours on games and things like that really can take away from their relationships, but also their personal growth. I think there's a time and a place to utilize technology. And I know I really try to think about this with our children because I'm like, hey, let's limit it. Like, I want you guys to go outside. I want you to like be a kid, focus on those kind of things. We need the exact same things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Instead of like going outside and being a kid, let's go experience life. And when we're on our technology, we're not always doing that, unless you on a documentary and you learning something and reading the news or what have you, something that's productive. But as you were speaking, it made me think about something that I heard not too long ago about, the question of, are you spending your time or are you investing your time? Because you can spend your time just like you're wasting your cash, or if you're just at the house, and sometimes we allot each other that time to just veg out and just chill and Netflix, or the reverse, if you catch my drift. No, but if you just chilling at the crib and you're just doing that, I mean, I feel like sometimes that's just spending your time. You're just getting rid of it, right?
Right.
But are we investing your time? Are we doing things with each other that increases the momentum of our relationship or makes us better and builds a better foundation for us in our future? In my opinion, that's investing time. And if you try to place technology in one of those buckets, more often than not, it's going to be in spending time as opposed to investing your time. And I really liked how that was worded because it does make sense. It makes you think a little bit more deliberately about the time invested with your partner. But yeah, obviously you want to invest because it does feel good at the end of the day, like after we've done a whole bunch of stuff, just to just chill at the house and watch something, right? Or let it watch you because I'd be falling asleep like a mug. Yeah.
But, I'm thinking now, like, maybe people younger than us would say, well, it is investing because I'm learning this and I can make money off this. Now that's like a huge platform for that too.
For sure.
So I think one probably would argue with us on that. I am investing, but I think there's a difference of like using it as a tool versus just like scrolling because there are a lot of investing opportunities too, I'm sure. It's just a matter of knowing how to do it and utilize it.
Yeah, generationally, I think it just changes a bit because for us, we were born in a unique time where there was no technology. And when those 10 cents a minute for those text messages, even if it was past 9 o'clock and you got it for free, you remember how difficult it was to text somebody? You had to hit the three times to get an E. You had to hit this 3 times to get the C. Like it took a lot of time and effort out of you. With these kids these days, I mean, they were born in the technology era where it's just second nature. And they are quickly introduced to how you can utilize this technology as a tool really, really quickly. So for us, it's just a bit of a learning curve. And first you have to convince me that it's worth my time. You feel what I'm saying? So like, I really enjoy communicating with people face to face, just like this, because I feel like most of my learning happens that way. And it sucks too, though, because we have a podcast and we have all these social media platforms and Brittney will find times where like she's the only one doing anything on it because I just can't mentally find the space to do it. I just can't. I got to separate myself sometimes.
But then there's another, so like, back in the day, people would have to meet like the old fashioned way. We'd have to meet at bars or meet at a library and like, oh my God, I spilled on my books and they run into their dream man here helping them pick them up. But like now people can scroll and like dislike, and I feel like that can be a slippery slope for some in the dating realm. But on the flip side of that, I do think it's a great opportunity to utilize kind of like a resume, getting to know them up front before you date them,
That's true. It's kind of unfair, but it's true too because you can't really, you know too much about me before I even know enough about me, right? Because you've already concluded who I am as a person and then you give me an opportunity to do that. That's why I love like the organic meeting piece because although I may have made some mistakes in my past or I had failed relationships or I just finished, this sobriety course that now I'm clean, I want to get myself taken care of, and they have no clue that I've been through that mess, now I get to invent myself.
Right.
That is almost no longer. Like people have access to your past just like that, which is good in, I guess, kind of a sense, but it just doesn't give the people that are overcoming an opportunity, to kind of reinvent themselves, like I said. But I could see how it is a benefit. One thing also I want to make mention of, and I hope I don't ramble here, is just this instant gratification. Hey, Lulu. This instant gratification world that we live in where people feel like everything is supposed to happen quick, fast, and in a hurry can cause a lot of pain and resentment when it comes to trying to figure out, if I want to start dating or in that dating realm. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's 100% true. And I think we've talked about that on previous episodes where we're mostly focusing on comparison and comparing someone's, you see one chapter of their life versus you didn't see all the grind and the grit that they had to put in outside of that, because social media, people are posting the nice cars, the nice vacations. I mean, nobody's posting their Honda Accord. Like, look at me rolling,
I was posting my Toyota Camry. I was proud of that thing.
And just think about it, though. It's like no one's posting what people may consider the boring things, which I have learned that as I've grown older, the boring things are like my favorite things, like eating meals at home and like going to bed early and watching a movie. Like nobody's posting that stuff on social media. No one saw my like super basic meal that I ate for dinner that we just cooked at home, and no one cares if I'm not, I'm lounging in my comfy clothes. And so, I think there becomes this fake ideal what a relationship should look like, but no one posts when you're irritated with each other or you had a fight or, and I just saw a post the other day and I laughed because this family was on vacation and she's laughing in the picture and she's like leaned up against her husband laughing. And she's like, what you don't see in this picture is that we had just got irritated with our children because we're on vacation. We're trying to take care of the kids. We're trying to get to dinner. And she's like, sometimes you just got to take a beat. Yeah. And I'm like, man, it's so true, because if she had not put that in her explanation, I would have just thought, oh my God, it's such a cute picture. They're living their best life. It's just a glimpse. It's just a simple glimpse. And it's not real life. Real life is working through really hard things. Yeah. And so one suggestion, and I know this worked for us, and we kind of stepped away from it. I'm not really sure why, but we had a rule that after like 8 or 9, we didn't even get on our phones. And we'd still sometimes watch shows, but we're super busy with our kids anyways. But we wouldn't even touch our phones. And I know a lot of people are on the movement of not looking at their phone when they wake up in the morning, because they're saying, would you open your front door and just start talking to your neighbors the second you woke up? Would you let 100 people into your bedroom and say, hey, let's talk? No, you wouldn't. So don't get on your phone and do the same thing. Maybe turn and say hello to your spouse or your significant other and be more present, Yeah.
So I remember us doing that. And I think that we should have like copyrighted that or something because there is now something called K-Tube and K-Toot. So kick technology out of bed and kick technology out of tables. So get them away from the dinner table and get them away from when you're in bed, because there have been studies that show that having technology inside the bed is disrupting intimacy, and having technology at the table where there's usually like more shared communication that we could talk about our day while we share this meal is interrupting how people are able to, effectively communicate with each other. So you're absolutely right. Like, I feel like sometimes we gotta get back to that. I think we do a better job at the dinner table, which I know we're old fashioned, y'all. Like, and it's so funny. We'll have guests come over to the house and we'll be fixing like breakfast or dinner and we'll be setting the table. And people are like, what are y'all doing? Y'all need to do all that for us. I'm like, no, like literally that's what we do. Like,
I know, it's hilarious. You're like, oh my God, you don't have to set the table. I'm like, no, we actually set the table every night, and we sit down with our children and we make them put phones away. No one has phones at the table. Yeah. And we legitimately just do whatever. We talk, we watch, like chill. Usually we eat outside because we live in Florida. So we sit out in the back and like, no, we've done that our entire marriage, even when it was just me and you.
We sure did. I mean, because it's just our schedules are so busy, and I'm sure that y'all have schedules that are busy also. Like, so we try to make one opportunity for all of us to be around each other and to connect. And the best way to do that is force our kids to eat a meal without the technology. And so that's like a strategic way to get them at the table so we could just talk about the day and just shoot the breeze. And it's never an assignment where we're like, hey, y'all must be here and be ready to talk and bring 3 points of emphasis. Like, it's none of that mess, but it's just we sit down and we just chill and talk. Even if that's the only time where all 4 of us can sit down and relax and talk about our day, at least it was that one time and not 0 times.
There's only a few times of the day that are very sacred to me. I think in the morning.
Sacred.
Okay, sacred. In the morning is very sacred to me, like waking up our children. I really I'm much more gentle than Byron, but just try to like have a very gentle approach, especially like if it's a Saturday, I want to have my coffee and want to have take my time and take a gentle approach. It's very sacred time. I don't want people to bother me during that time. It's very similar for our dinner. I feel like it's like our 2 times a day that we're like, this is the Wilson family time. Like we don't get a lot of it. And the kids sometimes want to eat really quickly and run outside and play, or we're eating really quickly to get to sports, but there's no technology during those times. Sometimes the news in the morning, depending on the day and whatnot, but I feel like that is really special for us, and I highly recommend it if you don't do that already.
Yeah. So. Okay. So we'll go back. So I think just want to address one more time, just like the importance of like delayed gratification too. So although we have more of a technology-based society, it's okay to allow things to happen in time, and because things do require time. And I do feel like with the introduction of technology, life is just going by so much faster. It's so weird because in the moment you don't really recognize it, but when we go back and look at pictures of our children, even since we've moved here 7 months ago, they look like freaking babies, And so I just try to separate myself as much as I can from being in La La Land and just trying to be here, in this moment, right? So that
Yeah.
way we can experience life with each other. So for me, I just have to find that healthy balance of using technology without having the fear that it's going to disrupt, what we have going on.
Yeah. How are you going to do that?
I think practice,
Yeah.
and I tell my students that all the time, that anything that you're trying to do or accomplish, it just requires practice. So I just need to find little small moments for me to introduce it, in parts and pieces, and then slowly kind of get it there too. I don't know though, because again, I think sometimes I just lose an appreciation for it because I'm just either valuing what's going on in real life a lot, and then sometimes I just try not to concern myself with, everyone else's business. But I do find value in relationships. And so I know that connecting with people via social media and technology is very important in order to do that. So I just got to find the time really
Yeah.
to make that work.
Good luck.
I know, man.
It's a struggle for many though.
I
It's
know.
a struggle for many, and relationship technology is not going anywhere. As long as we don't end up like the movie WALL-E, we were talking about where like we're all in like little chairs and we forget that we can get up and like walk and talk and do things. We don't have to have something in front of us at all times. So I don't want that to be us. I don't want that to be the world that we live in.
It concerns me though a little bit because our future, our kids are. If you want to know what the future looks like, look at your children. And I think that if we were to allow our children to be on the phone as much as they want, would you say that they would be on it like all night?
Probably till they fell asleep if we didn't take them away.
I think so. I mean, they really enjoy vegging out and just being on the phone. So it does concern me if we don't have boundaries, or if we don't set like curfews on this technology. That's just what they're going to do.
But think of all the people that don't. Like, we take our kids' phones away, and like think of all the people that don't do that, and like that's the future. And then like when they're older, they're all going to be doing those things. So it's definitely, it's a slippery slope. I think that it's a great thing to have. We just have to navigate it carefully and make sure that it's not affecting your relationship. And I've I hate to bring this up, but like it can lead to like trust issues. There's fights that people say, you liked that girl's picture, or you liked that guy's picture. Why'd you like their picture? Why'd you heart their picture?
Right.
Why are you hearting their stuff and liking it? So it can become like a source of an argument as well.
Yeah,
So,
but that's when just trust just has to come into play, and I think that if you're having those types of questions about why someone likes something, then there might be some underlying issues there, right? For either the person that's asking that question or the person who have been, that's being asked the question, right? Might need to address some things. But I think that's when that just goes back to boundaries when it comes to technology, that and it's weird, but man, we have got to treat our relationships like it matters. We've got to be deliberate and intentional. And I know I say that a lot, but we do. And that means that we have to have conversations about how we feel like things need to look. And an example of that being like me being offered that opportunity through, and we ain't gonna talk about that now, but I have an opportunity to do something for my job. And we had a hard conversation on last night of what that looks like, and that conversation is still ongoing. So, but I think that if we don't communicate those things like with purpose, it could cause a lot of, turmoil. So yeah, I think that, if you're going to use technology, like you got it and you think it's affecting your relationship, you got to be able to communicate that with your partner.
Yeah. And you got to be able to walk away from that phone or that game or whatever. You just it shouldn't be that important to you. So obviously your spouse or your significant other has to be top tier, like top of the list. So
I just think it's so funny because like you think when we were dating back in the day, like the only way for us to connect or communicate with each other initially was just through a house phone.
I know.
And so like we was just out doing our thing, but then we meet for the movies or we meet to have, dinner, or we meet, at a party. And everything was all good. But now we feel like we always have to have a phone on us, which is crazy to me.
It's
Don't
like
you
our
think
life
that's
now.
wild?
Like we didn't take pictures. Like think about it. Our phones back then, we had to bring the little ones I'd wear it on my wrist. You remember that?
Yeah, a
Being
little a Fujifilm camera.
Who's wearing cameras on their wrist in the club? Okay, but we were because we didn't have phones that could take pictures and catch all the memories. So our phone, I know it's a little bit embarrassing if you think about it now. So our phones are literally like our life. They're our debit card. They're our car key.
Yeah.
They're our link to everything. They're our emergency,
That's true. That's true.
So it's definitely a great tool. But yeah, I mean, this is a short episode on technology, but I think it's all good, stuff.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think that it's something that we deal with on a daily basis. And if it's an issue and your partner's like expressing it, pay attention because sometimes you may be so deep into like not knowing that you're on your phone so much or on these technology pieces that it is affecting your relationship. So I would just say pay attention and, sometimes do like a cleanse, if you will. Say, hey, I'm going to monitor how much time I'm on this thing.
And if you haven't thought about this being a problem or a conflict or a piece of tension or contention within your relationship, maybe just think about it now and have that conversation. I think this is a great speaking point with your partner to kind of see, if we're both on the same page when it comes to technology, because you may find out that it is a problem, right? So there's no better time than now to fix that. So before we go though, let's talk about like some practical ways to become unplugged.
Okay.
All right. So in my opinion, I think that like we touched on a little bit, but find like phone-free zones or technology-free zones within your house. And we've talked about this in previous episodes before, but we have 0 TVs in our bedroom.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot we have talked about that.
Yeah. So like 4 years ago, we made that a thing, like because we were just in bed watching too much television where we weren't like paying attention to each other or even like finding time to read a book or to
it was messing up your
pray
sleep
with
cycle.
each other, jacking up sleep. So we decided that we will not have a television in the bedroom, right? So now maybe we move on to the phone? I don't know. Maybe we just limited it. But I think that's a good way.
That's true.
Maybe that's a good way. So like the K-tube and the K-toot are good ways to do that. So getting the technology away from the tables and then also away from our beds. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And then technology-free dinner table, those type of things. Technology-free mornings, trying to wake up and like don't get on your phone immediately. Hit off your alarm and put it back down.
Yeah.
Give yourself 30 minutes to an hour to acclimate to your real world before you acclimate to pictures of random people,
Another thing, I think like before you like hop on social media, maybe send a text. And this is just me, this is just random. Maybe send a text to reconnect with somebody. Right? So maybe it's your mother or maybe it's your cousin or maybe it's a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Like before you hop on social media and just scroll, hop into the death scroll, reach out to somebody you haven't spoken to in a while. Like actually use the technology as a communication tool to rekindle a relationship with somebody that you haven't had before.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of people on my phone that I could reach out to that they're just there. They're just a number in the phone. So I like that.
I was talking to our neighbor tonight and he said, he was talking about his father and how his father might be moving down here with him. And he said that he talks to his father every Sunday. And I was like, that sounds nice. You know what I mean? Like my granddad is 99 and I'm my father, which, I try to reach out to them as much as I'm able to, but then the days just go and then the weeks just go and then a month goes by. I'm like, dang, I haven't talked to my grandfather in a month.
Yeah.
And like how nice that would be to just like be on a weekly schedule to just hit them up. You know what I'm saying? Utilize that technology. But yeah, I think that's another thing I think I plan to do is just try to make a scheduled time to reach out to important people in my life.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I'm going to steal it and do it myself.
Thanks for your support, babe.
Yes.
But you talk to your mama every day. So then like and you talk to your sister probably once or twice a week. So like who would...
I mean, I told you I got lots of random friends that I don't talk to. I am pretty good about reaching out to people.
You are.
Like I have a lot of, we've lived in lots of places across the country and I always try to reach out to people. When I think about them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to reach out to them. So,
Yeah.
but there's still some people, there's some aunts and uncles I need to probably say hello to and,
Okay.
do better. Use that technology for all the right reasons. So, yeah.
So good. So I like that we ended with those practical ways. But if y'all have other ways that y'all feel like technology helps your relationship, we would love to hear about it. So just leave a comment below or just reach out to us in all of our social media platforms or shoot us an email. For y'all old school folks like us, please feel free to do that too. But we just appreciate y'all being here via technology. Just don't let it be a trap. Don't let it be a trap.
I mean, I feel like a podcast is investing your time, not spending your time.
I like how you brought that around. That is a fact. Yeah, that's a fact.
And then, of course, you guys can follow us at real_relatable_Wilsons on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. And there we're doing a lot of goofy stuff and posting clips from our podcast. But it's just fun. You can see how things that we do in our daily life,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So we just appreciate y'all being here again. Again, we're just here to talk about real, relatable relationships, just really honoring the purpose of communication and transparency. In doing such, again, appreciate y'all being here. So without further ado, be blessed, be you, just be. We out.
I'm blessed to be me. Blessed to be